Back in my day, a sweep was enough to get you chicks. These days, chicks just don't care unless you're also adding in some tapping. Whatever. Greetings, Suckamaniacs, and welcome to a new installment of Weekend Wankshop here with your old pal, Uncle Ben, the most handsome weekly lick lesson series on YouTube. You know, kids, if you're a young axe slinger right now and you want to sit at the cool guys table, it's not enough that you simply sweep on some arpeggios. You got to be able to sweep them, tap them, shred them, slide them, flip them, and reverse them. Which is why we're together today, Suzanne, so that you can learn a sick new lick to get your ass out of the kids' table. First things first, let's check out this lick at stepdad speed. And as always, you can find a full lick for this tab on Uncle Ben's Instagram page at Ben Eller Guitars. Follow me on there, find the tab for the lick, learn how to play it, put up a video of you shredding this thing along with the hashtag Weekend Wankshop. That way I can scope it out. Okay, so this is a fairly basic lick. We're going to get into some more advanced licks with some arpeggio tapping ideas later on, but I wanted to introduce you to a pretty simple one early on. That way you can kind of get your head around what's happening when we add in a tap note to an arpeggio and all that kind of thing. But like I said, this one isn't really too advanced or anything like that. It's not too bad. Guys like Muhammed Sucimez from Necrophagist, Jason Becker, I mean tons of dudes. Anybody who's proficient in arpeggios uses kind of a sweep tap technique like this at some point in their lives. So you'll hear a lot of this stuff, especially these days, man. You can't really listen to any metal album without hearing a solo full of like arpeggios with tap notes up top and stuff like that. So it's becoming cool. So anyway, this is based around a D minor arpeggio, which is the notes D, F, A. And I'm kind of basing this around sort of your garden variety. This is a very common 5-string kind of minor arpeggio shape right here. It's this guy right here. This is playing the 17th fret on the A string, that's a root note D. 15th fret on the D string, that's a flat third, F. 14th fret G, 5. 15th fret B string, which is our 1 again. Our 13th fret high E, which is the flat 3. And then the 17 on the high E, which is that 5 again. So you end up with this. Now that alone is that full D minor arpeggio, and that's cool too. But what we're going to do with this tap note is to add in the root note of the chord again, which is a D note. Okay, here's the thing that I see a lot of times with people at Guitar Center and shit like this, is they'll just play some arpeggio and just tap something and think that that's cool enough. Which sounds like absolute bullshit. The thing is it's not a matter of just like tap some random note and suddenly you're cool now. What you got to do is think about a note that's in the chord, or maybe a note that you want to add into the chord, find it on the fretboard, and add that in. It's not a matter of just randomly hit something. So like in the case of this arpeggio right here, what we're doing is taking this D minor arpeggio, and I'm tapping on the root note again, which is a D note, which you can find at fret number 22 on the high E string. So the moral of the story is here, don't be that guy who just randomly taps crap and thinks that it sounds cool. Put a little bit of thought into it, you know, try to find maybe one of the notes that you're hitting in another part of the arpeggio and tap that guy in, and odds are it's going to sound a lot more better. Okay, so here's what we're doing with this lick. It's kind of sequenced in 3s. So what we're going to do with this arpeggio is we're going to play the first 3 notes of it. So the 17th A, 15th D, 14th G. That comprises the first sequence of 3. And then what we're going to do is to back up a note. So in other words, I'm going to hit the 15th on the D, 14th G, 15th B. So now I've got this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. After that, I'm going to play the next sequence of 3. So I'm going to go back to the 14th fret on the G string here, hit that note, 15th B, 13th high E. So that's the next sequence of 3. So now I've got this. Kind of has that cool, sounds like you're climbing up the stairs and then you go back a step, then you climb up some more and go back. I've always liked that kind of sound, and licks by guys like Brian May from Queen and Paul Gilbert, as well as arpeggio licks like this too. I think it's a neat sound. Okay, so after that, we're going to play the next sequence of 3. So we're going to back up here to the 15th B string, 13th high E, 17th high E. So again, that's the next sequence. Now the next part right here, what we're going to do is to back up and hit that 13th fret high E again, hammer on 17, tap on 22. There it is. So 13, hammer on 17, tap on 22. Then what you're going to do is just pull off, then just go down the entire arpeggio. So you're just retracing the steps that you took to get up that entire thing. So one more time slowly here. We got... And just go down. It has kind of a triplet feel. Da, 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 da. It sounds great over a D minor chord or a D power chord, whatever you kids want to get busy on. Sick. Now, if you want a bunch of advice about the secret art of sweep picking, I definitely advise you check out my This Is Why You Suck at Sweep Picking videos that I've put up. There's 2 of them. The first part covers a lot of things about the right hand. Second part is mostly about ways to practice the techniques and stuff like that too. But in that video, you'll learn a lot about, especially the best way to kind of mute the strings as you go through an arpeggio, because if you just let all the strings kind of ring open, like that, you get this really nasty ringing going on. Whereas in that video, I outlined what I call a progressive palm muting technique, where you just progressively slide your hand and palm mute over the strings that you're not playing at the time. So in other words, with this arpeggio, I'll just be kind of progressively muting more and more and more and more of the strings as my hand goes down the arpeggio. So yeah, check out those videos. Lots of insight and stupid humor, so you might enjoy those. Now, picking wise here, this isn't going to be a straight up sweep picked arpeggio lick, because there's going to be a lot of backing up in it, kind of like how we sequence those 3s. That's not just going straight down through the strings like that. So what I advise doing here, and you can see it on the last part of the video there if you back this up a little bit, but with each of those sequences of 3, as we're kind of climbing up the arpeggio, I'm going down, down, up. Now again, it's like, it kind of makes more sense to go down, 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 but that puts me further away from the D string, which is where my next sequence starts. So you can go down, 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 but then you're going to have to make a huge jump and basically hop over 2 strings to get to the next sequence, like that. Whereas I would rather just kind of build the jump into the picking sequence itself, you know? So my turnaround is at the end of every sequence of 3 like that. So again, you go down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. And then this next sequence here is going to be just a downstroke. And then all the rest of the picking here is just all up. Now in that case right there, you can get away with all upstrokes because you're continually just going from one string to the next, to the next, to the next. So it makes sense just to go straight up with the pick like that. Another thing too I want you to keep in mind is anytime you're doing a lick like this with some sweeping and some tapping and things, you might want to try placing your hand a little further on the neck than you usually would. You know, you might have noticed I was kind of playing with my pick pretty much over the neck pickup right here. You know, I'm not playing back here like I would be if I was riffing or something. That's a common mistake that I think a lot of people make, is to play back here where they usually do, and then when it's time to make that tap happen, they make a ton of noise, especially if you're playing with a higher gain setting like this. It's like all the sensitivity is amplified. So kind of coming off of that nice muting you've been building up the entire time, you know, you'll make a bunch of noise every time you do that just to come off and do that tap. So whenever I'm doing a tapped arpeggio lick like this, I like to play with my hand a little bit closer to the fretboard. That way I can just go ahead and just sort of reach over and do that tap without leaping off and disturbing all that nice muting I've built up. So you might want to try and mess around with that too. Probably make your lick sound a little better. So there you go, kids. Another sick lick to add to the good old wank bank. Take that one to the malt shop and bust it out. You're sure to get some chicks. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe, as well as drop me an email about booking some one-on-one Skype lessons with me so we can learn all the theory and scales and modes and stuff like that you'll ever need to know. BenEllerGuitars@gmail.com is my address. Drop me a message and we'll talk about rates and times and all that good stuff. Thanks again, you guys. Stay tuned next week for more cool stuff. Have a good week. Goodbye.